Motherhood is a state of being a mother, and the roles that come with it are so many. Motherhood comes complete with an emotional roller coaster, and it's a roller coaster ride that has no manual. You don't know whether to go right or left. You have to figure it out. Hi, this is Clarity Coach Lucy, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3, and welcome to Motherhood May. As we look at Motherhood May, we are looking at our episodes that we are going through. We had the episode where there was a challenge of motherhood and careers, and we found a fine balance of what we can do to be able to enjoy the best of both worlds, because this is a journey, and the meaning that we give it is life. What we did in our last episode is that we sought to understand how to balance and how to build emotionally and healthy, balanced relationships. So where we were balancing our career and our motherhood, here we are balancing relationships. These are the things we say in motherhood, that we are trying our best to know how to navigate, and there's no manual. We acknowledge that blended families are on the rise. They really are. And we defined blended families in general, just in general, because this is a topic for another day. Blended families come in different dynamics. So when we look at blended families in general, it's the coming together of two individuals who already have their own children or their family set up, and we're bringing it together and blending it and forming a home. And even when we form this home, we end up at times having our own children now as the biological parents in this home. Sounds confusing? Actually, it's not. It's just the coming together of people. It is that extended family under one roof. We will acknowledge, although, that before this happens, there was a single parent somewhere. One of them was a single parent and was coming into this unity. So either as a result of separation or by choice, they then were finding themselves single. And now, of course, our discussion is all about Motherhood May, so it is about that single mother. And we touched on looking at the mothers then who come on and are referred to as stepmothers. And we demystified that. You need to look at the YouTube channel to get the full episode of that. Today, however, we seek to understand the journey, the meaning, the ups and downs, and the tips of looking for this happiness and thriving in the happiness of single motherhood. Well, the question today is very simple. And before we ask the question, I just want to check and confirm that indeed we are live. Let's see that indeed we are live. It's taking a bit long to load on, but we don't want to continue and have left everybody who is on Facebook Live behind. And yes, we are live. We've been live for a few minutes now. So once again, welcome to Tuesday Talks at 3. Today, we are looking at the choice of single motherhood. And we ask the question, how would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? How would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? So please share your thoughts here on the live chat, and we'll sample them together. My guest today is Patsy Litunya, and she needs no introduction. She is a single mother by choice, and last episodes, she was able to join us, and we were talking about stress awareness. And just to reintroduce her, for those of you who haven't met her before, she is a counseling psychologist at the Kenya Utalii College. She is a certified professional trainer. She holds a certificate in addiction counseling, and she holds a diploma and a Bachelor of Arts degree in counseling psychology. So let us look about the hacks of single motherhood. But my first question is, as we welcome Patsy on the screen, karibu sana Patsy. We would love to see your face and hear your voice. Hi, Patsy. As Patsy is just coming onto the session and she's unmuting her mic, she's here now. There she is. Great to see you, Patsy. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Lucy.
Patsy, thank you for coming back and accepting my invitation to come back in another season. And this time it is the season of motherhood. You took us through stress awareness so well. You were so articulate. We had so many takeaways. And one thing that I haven't shared with you, but I'm happy to share now, is there were a lot of inquiries. What should I do in this situation? This is how I feel. Kindly advise me, Lucy. How do I move forward? And the biggest takeaway that I was using time and time again was on talk therapy. It was on talk therapy. There's a bit of feedback from your end, Patsy. Maybe you have two gadgets on. You may want to put off one because I can hear myself speaking. There's an echo. So Patsy, the question today is very simple. We are asking a question that is, how would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? How would you turn that stigma into acceptance? But even before we do that, we want to be able to understand, how does somebody find themselves in this circumstance of being a single mother, Patsy?
Thank you, Lucy. And I'm glad to be here once again, and in this capacity as a mother. And I'm happy that you invited me. You did not just look at me as a counselor, but you also looked at me as a mother. And thank you for that.
Yes.
Now we are going to look at the circumstances that surround single motherhood. Sometimes you may find yourself in this situation, or I may find myself in this situation just the way I found myself in the situation. It could be maybe you have lost your husband.
Yeah.
And when you remain the sole parent, you are single. There are those people who are in relationship and maybe even marriages, but because the marriage did not work or the relationship did not work, they chose to be single. And Lucy, what I would like to put across clearly is most single mothers make sacrifices because of their children. We have had press of people saying, I did it for my children, which is a good thing and a plus to all the single mothers. And we're not saying maybe next time we will be talking about single fathers. We are not saying that it is anything wrong by being a single father. So, but because we are just dwelling on single motherhood, we are saying most single mothers make sacrifices because of their children.
However, even as we say that, Patsy, we must also recognize that even in marriages where we've got both parents there, as parents, everybody makes a sacrifice. But the thing about making sacrifices together is you're not alone. You're not alone. There is an echo, Patsy. I'm not sure where this echo is coming from, because I keep on hearing myself speaking back to myself. So we can actually just recognize and understand that parents will always make sacrifices, but they have one another to lean on. With single parents, whether it is a father or a mother, the sacrifice that we make is actually on our own, and it can be very lonely. I just wanted to throw that in there. Please go ahead.
Just like I was explaining the circumstances, the other circumstance is where your values can come in as a person. For example, you may be in a relationship and someone wants to introduce a third person in this relationship. For example, you are the lady and someone wants maybe to get another wife. And for you, because your values do not allow, you decide to walk away. And you decide that you'll be a single mother, or your spouse cheats on you and you decide, I don't think I want to continue with this, because those are the choices you can make. Because we are talking about, if you stay there, it means you are tolerating that, right? So most people will walk away because they don't want to tolerate, maybe I'll just say mediocrity in this case. Yes.
Yes, those are the different circumstances. However, I've also come across some circumstances where It is by choice, and hence the topic for today, the choice of single motherhood. And I have come across women who have just by choice decided that they're not going to be in a relationship where there is a father and a mother living together in that traditional home setting. And these women have gone ahead to set on what they want as their future. And their careers are thriving, their lives are thriving, their community is thriving, they've got a support system, their children are thriving. And this is a choice that they have made intentionally. So they have decided that this choice of single motherhood is going to work for them. And when they do want to get more children to add to their family, they actually have a game plan of how they go about it. It's as if it's a contract that they have written out to themselves of how they want to live their lives. So yes, there are quite a few circumstances that we end up finding single motherhood is the outcome. And so I'm happy here today. We want to talk about that journey. We want to talk about that meaning. We want to talk about the ups and the downs, because as human beings, we all want to feel loved. We all want to feel relevant. We all want to feel like we are on this earth for something, for our purpose. So we are in pursuit of that happiness. At times it is elusive happiness. I just want to recognize here on the chat that we don't have any chats coming through, but we've got Nancy who've joined us. Welcome, Nancy. We have got Maua Faiza who's joined us. Welcome, Maua. And we've got Ayethwa Thaung. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, that you have joined us. Welcome. Today, the topic is all about the choice of single motherhood. And the question, today's question, is a very simple question. And we want you to be able to share with us in the chat, here on the live chat, share with us your thoughts and we will sample them. The question is, how would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance? And I'm sure Patsy is going to be telling us a little bit about stigma from her experience. How would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? That is our question today. So welcome. I had asked Patsy a question, what are the different scenarios where we end up finding ourselves as single mothers? And Patsy has actually explained these scenarios. So Patsy, what are the choices for single motherhood? What is it that they have to go through?
Thank you, Lucy. You had mentioned about the choice of being a single mother. That is a tough decision. That is a tough choice you have to make. So that is the first tough choice a single mother may have to make. Because just like you've talked about society, sometimes they will look at you and wonder, why is it that you don't want to be in a relationship? Why is it that you don't want to get married? Therefore, it is a tough decision as a single mother to make. Now, when we move now into the single motherhood, whereby you have children, you have a child who you're taking care of. And Lucy, we talked about, you could be also taking care of other children. Let's say maybe you have a sister who passed on and you've decided that you're going to give these children a home, your nieces and nephews, and maybe you don't have your own children. So it doesn't mean that they have to be your biological children. There are those people who also adopt children, and therefore they still become single parents. So the other decision, a tough decision or choice that you may have to make as a single mother is the decision, the choice of skipping events. Maybe before you became a single mother, or before you became a mother to someone, right? You are, that things you are engaging in. And because now children have come, or you have this child, this is a human being.
And this human being actually needs you, and you are the one who is responsible for this human being. I think we have lost Patsy there. Yes, so she's talking about the human being, and this human being who now you are the guardian of. So it's a very good point there that she brings, because as single parents, when we are having a charge with us, what are the different things that we need to be doing? Because when we look at being that guardian for that person, there are certain decisions that we have to make, and that is putting them first. Oh, Patsy is back now. Patsy, we were just talking about you being the guardian of this child, of this person, another human being, and decisions that have to be made. And I was just suggesting here that you have to decide to put them first, because they're the person that you are taking care of. You know, we're talking about someone who's depending on you on so many things, whether it is emotional dependency, whether it is you who's taking care of their needs, you know, the overhead, the shelter, the food, the education, yeah, the emotional needs. What are your thoughts, Patsy?
Lucy, just like you're saying, you are the sole parent. You are the only parent this child has. You are like a protector. You are the one who is supposed to protect this child. I mean, your children. Yeah. Remember, our children go out there. They go to schools, they meet people, and there are so many things they may have to go through as children coming from a single parent home. And therefore, it is important, you as a parent, you empower this child. Once they're able to understand, you know, they are able to understand, because you know that you cannot work with them all the time. So the best thing you can do, much as you as a single parent, you're going through your own challenges, but remember, your child is growing up. So it becomes very important that you always put the child's interest first.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, very true. So we're putting down the child interest first. We've looked at how the society dictates what happens with a single parent. There's an adopting situation. Now we are putting the child first. And what does it mean to put this child first? It means that we have to adjust and make sacrifices on the things that we have been doing in the past. It could be difficult. It could be a habit that we form. I like to come from the point of intentional mindset shift, because once you have decided you are doing something, you own it. And if you don't own it, then you have no business being there. So it happened for you. It did not happen to you. You are in this situation. You make the best of it. So you can either choose to have an abundant mindset and take this situation and run with it, because the tough choices are real. But how you approach these tough choices all depends on your mindset. You could decide to be a victim, or you could decide to go ahead and do something with this thing that has happened for you. And children are beautiful beings. It is so lovely to have children and experience from the different emotions. Like I said, in describing motherhood, it comes with no manual, but you're guaranteed to have a roller coaster. All right, so we're moving on to the tough choices. What other tough choices do we have, Patsy?
Lucy, before we move to the other tough choice, I just wanted to mention that some of these sacrifices which you make, you may not even know that you're making them. And maybe it's your friends who will tell you that we no longer see you. We miss you. And you know, it is so natural, because you will always tell yourself, this is what I want to be. And this is what I have chosen to be the parent to this child, and give them all the best. So some of these choices, you may not even know that they're tough. For you, it is natural.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it, because even when you look at two-parent homes, the choices that we make need to be intentional. We still put our children first. But like I said in the beginning, Patsy, there's two of you to lean on one another. The tough choice for a single mother is when she's making these choices, she's on her own. However, there is a plus side to it. She can choose to build up a support system which she can work on. And I'm sure you're going to be talking more about that. So let's move on with other tough choices, because this is an awareness of things that we need to know in single motherhood.
Okay, the other tough choice which we may have to make is the choice of asking for help. Maybe before you were that
I'm taking notes. Huh?
Okay.
Okay.
You are that kind of person who depended on yourself. And in this case, now you have children or you have a child who has come into your life. So you will have to adjust. You'll have to adjust to the issue of asking for help, and which we are encouraging single mothers, because you should not just work or be so hard on yourself and tell yourself, oh, because I found myself in this situation, I'm not going to ask for help. No. Ask for help. So it is a tough decision if you're not that kind of person who is used to asking for help. The other tough choice which you have to make as a single parent, as a single mother, is there things you will give up on yourself, like the sacrifices which you have to make. There's, you can even find yourself not, the issue of self-care. You may not even have time for that. And especially when the children are still young. So this is the tough choice of making sacrifices for the sake of the little ones.
Yeah, self-care is very sensitive, Patsy, and it's a good thing that you're mentioning it here. And I would advise that we make it intentional to have self-care. And intentional meaning that, like I keep on talking about this support system. So these are one of the hacks that we need in single motherhood. We need to have a support system, Patsy, and I'm sure you can share with us the testimony of the support systems that you have, because at times you need to leave town to go and work. Your career takes you places, your studies take you away from the bedtime or the meal time, or your shift. Maybe you're on what we call, I'm in the hospitality industry, so perhaps you're on a graveyard shift. It's a chicken and egg situation where you need to work to put the food on the table because you're the sole provider for this child. However, you also need to take care of this child by putting them first. But if you do not take care of yourself and invoke self-care unto self, then you're of no use, because you have burnout, or you feel like you're alone. And like we mentioned when we were looking at stress awareness, you become sad for long periods. And if it is not taken care of, it leads into depression. And then it is just one of those cycles. Now you are of no use to this child who you are the guardian of. So if there's one thing that I would be taking away here, is to encourage single mothers to take care of themselves. Self-care, whatever it is, whether it is me time, whether it is having a community that helps you and steps in when you're not there, that you can be able to carve out your own life for yourself, because you matter. And as we were discussing at a separate discussion, Patsy, the child is going to grow up and leave. And when that child leaves, what are you left with? Do you have a life? Do you have certain things that you have been doing for yourself, interests, friends? When people are saying they haven't seen you for a while, you need company. And especially as women, we need to download. When we are speaking with fellow women, we're not looking for solutions. We're just downloading what is going on in our lives. And this way we are releasing anything that is stressful in our lives. This is how we deal as women. But then if you are not being seen by your friends and you are closing yourself up because of this decision that you have made, that also is not taking care of yourself. I just thought I would throw that in there, Patsy, so that at least we know that when we're making adjustments in our life, we make time for ourselves. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Patsy. Let's continue with the tough choices. What are the tough choices are there for single mothers? And what hacks do we have to overcome them?
Okay, the other tough choice, which is very important that I mentioned, is the choice of putting off your career. Sometimes you find yourself in this situation, and because you're alone, you have to keep your career on hold until the children are of age. For example, Lucy, you could be working and you had a scholarship, maybe to go out of the country to go and study. What happens? You will choose between your children and your career. And that is a tough choice. You find yourself in that dilemma. Maybe it's the only opportunity that you have. Maybe it is something you were looking forward to and it has come. But here is your child. If I was to ask you, Lucy, what would you choose? I am now posing a question to you. What would you choose? I'm sure you choose your children.
Well, right? Yes and no. Yes and no. This is where I'm talking about the support system. My first instinct would be to choose my child because I'm a nurturer. This is what I would do. But when you sit back and you look at what that trip is going to do for your child, number one, you're going to be showing your child that you need to go for your goals. You know, you need to pursue your goals. You know, if there's another way that we can do it back home, then fine. But the conversation around it is important to be had because this child is looking up to you. Now, if you already had a support system, the beautiful thing with technology today is that you can FaceTime every day. Maybe the course you're going for is 6 months or 1 year or however long, and you have the opportunity to come back home and visit. It's a discussion. That's why I'm saying yes and no, Patsy. My first instinct is I'm not going anywhere. My first instinct. But the more you think about it, the more you speak about it, the kind of individual that you are being for this child is important. You don't want to be a bitter person at the end of the day. For instance, when this child then leaves and goes on to pursue their own life and you say, why are you leaving? I had the opportunity to leave, but I chose to stay home. You see, you're coming from a point of bitterness. You're not coming from a point of growth. So the discussion, depending on what it is, then that is when my answer would come across. I do hope I've answered you, Patsy.
Yes, you have, and it's good that it's a discussion because you mentioned the support system, and it comes in very well because you need to consult if you have a good support system of family, and this is where now family comes in. That's why it's important we relate well with our family members because we cannot choose them, right? We just found ourselves in those families. Therefore, this support system, since it will be a dilemma, that is where the support system will come in. And you have mentioned
seems like we have lost Patsy again. I think she's having challenges with her internet connectivity. But yes, the support system is very important. The question today is actually a question around this same stigma, because if you do not have the support system, and as a single mother, you decide to leave the country or to go to another county to be able to run after your dreams, there's a stigma that will follow you. After all, she is a single mother, and only a single mother would make such a decision. Well, that is the question today. How would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? And I think one of the hacks that we have today is that support system. Because with this support system, as Patsy puts it, that is family. Once you are working within the family, and we thank God for families. And if you do not have family, then you create a family from your friends, from your colleagues, because it's always that. I remember I wasn't a single mother. Mine has been both parents with the children there. But at times my husband would travel. And when he would travel, I will be left with the children. But that does not mean that then, during those periods of his travel, I did not have any travel. Or I did not have instances when I had to stay late in the office. Like I say, I'm in hospitality industry, where I had to work late into the evenings. I had my own network of friends whom I had made known to my children, and their children and my children were playing together. So you would find we have a discussion for that week, and we would be saying something like, this weekend, mommy needs to work. And as mommy is working this weekend, you're going to stay with auntie so-and-so. So support systems are important for us as we jump in there and make sure that it happens. Patsy is back. Patsy, so we're just talking about the support system and family. Tell us a bit more.
Support system, Lucy, just like we had mentioned earlier, is very important. And support system in this case could be your siblings, your parents, and even aunties, as you're talking about. There are people you relate very well in the family with. Yeah. And as you continue your life, you get that closeness. They will understand you better. So, yeah. And what I know, mostly African families, they really, really value nieces and nephews. And I'm talking from experience. I was raised by my grandparents, but at some point, my auntie took over. My auntie, yes. My mother's sister, yes. She's the one who paid my school fees. I'm just telling you this so that you understand that families are close to each other. And therefore, you will find that person who really understands you well, and they may understand what you're going through when you tell them. That's why we talked about seeking help, the decision of seeking help, or the choice of seeking help. Do not just keep it to yourself. If something is bothering you, ask for help. And you'll be so surprised, the people who will come wishing to help you, because it will depend on how you have been interacting with them.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so that's another hack. Ensure that you have relationships around you. Build up these relationships. They don't happen overnight. These are relationships that take sweat and blood and tears, because not every time are you going to agree when you're building up these relationships. But those are the ones that make the best relationships, because you know that you can trust your person with them and you can come back and speak authentically the truth. I'd just like to welcome Jane Kuvuna. Great to see you here. Today we're talking about single motherhood, and we've got Patsy Litunya, a single mother who has made a comeback to Tuesday Talks at 3. Well, we're looking at tough choices. And as we look at the tough choices that single mothers face, we can see very clearly that there are certain hacks. That even in some cases, the challenges that a single mother faces and feels like she's on her own is exactly what women also face when they are in relationships together, both husband and wife, or both couple members of the relationship are there with children. The thing is to be able to know what you're going through. And like Patsy says, to seek help. She's talked about decision to pursue your career and goals. Your life does not need to come to a stop. I mean, look at Patsy. As I mentioned you when I was busy introducing who she is. She's a counseling psychologist. She's a certified professional trainer. She holds a certificate in addiction counseling. She holds a diploma and a BA degree. How? And she's a single mother. She has made choices, and one of the choices is that she has chosen to pursue her goals. And her daughter has not found any time that she has missed out on her mother. If anything, Patsy, maybe you can confirm to me, your daughter looks at you and says, I want to be like mom, because you have set out these examples. Over to you, Patsy.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for sharing that. It is true. I have seen people even telling my daughter that, like she has some of her friends who already have children. And I remember one of them even told her that I just want to be like your mother. I really admire the way your mother has raised you on her own. And I didn't know. For me, imagine I did not know that I was impacting on somebody, because she just told my daughter, and she came and told me, my friend, she's called Joki, told me that she really wished to raise her son the way you have raised me. And I was very, very touched.
Wow. And these are the stories that we need to hear. We need to hear single mothers telling these stories, because there is the stigma. There is that stigma of single motherhood. And at times it can just make somebody who is stepping into single motherhood, no matter what the situation is, when you're stepping into single motherhood and you have this stigma in you, in your mind, and society is putting it on you. If we don't have the Patsies talking about it, how are we going to know that there are many ups compared to the downs, that there are many ups? So it is good that Njoki here was telling your daughter this and you got to hear it. What other tough choices have you gone through, Patsy? Or challenges? And what are the hacks that we can use just to overcome them? Looks like we have lost Patsy again. Welcome, Jacinta. It's good to see you here. Our question today, unfortunately, our guest is having challenges with her internet connectivity, but we are here together, and the topic is all about single motherhood and the ups and downs. The question is, how would you turn the stigma of single motherhood into acceptance by society? And I'm looking at the thread. I'm not seeing any contribution yet. So I do hope that you will share with us. Let us engage, because I'm seeing it is ladies that we have here today. Ladies, let us engage. What kind of stigma have you heard out there about single motherhood? And what is your idea or your solution or your give back to ensure that there is now acceptance, that there's acceptance by society? Because, you know, we are driven by what society decides. Society has decided for us that a family has to look in a certain way. And therefore, when we have a single mother and we see that she's in the struggle, in the hustle, or when we see that she's in the success of life, or when we see that she's going through depression, society always has a label for it. And this is stigma. So the stigma of single motherhood, how can we convert that into acceptance? I really would love to read from you. If somebody could share with us, what is that one thing where we could turn the stigma into acceptance? I see that Patsy is back. Patsy, you are back. And we would love to hear at least one or two more tough choices that single mothers are faced with.
The other choice, Lucy, is the choice of where you're going to live as a single mother. You may want to live in a neighborhood that will not stigmatize you. You may not know that it's going to happen, but again, at the end of it all, you're going to ask yourself, I want to raise my children. I want to raise my child in a neighborhood that does not have this stigma. So that is a tough choice which you have to make, because maybe you don't even have the resources to go to a neighborhood that understands these things. Because remember when we were talking about the circumstances, you may have just left an abusive marriage and maybe you didn't have a job and maybe you didn't even have enough resources. So the choice of where you're going to live, or even the choice of where you're going to live with your children and be very far away from a spouse, an abusive spouse, because remember, abuse is in many forms, could be physical or emotional. So seeing this person next to you, maybe you want to heal. And the only way you can heal is by going very far away from from this person. So the choice of where you're going to live is also a tough decision.
Wow. I mean, yes, I've heard about the where you're going to live, but it is the healing here that I'm taking away with me. What are the hacks that you need for healing? Because at times, just that separation, just going far away helps you to heal as a single mother. So one of them is choosing where you're going to live and making sure there's enough distance between the two of you, whether it was physical or emotional abuse. Maybe it's also you changing your phone number. It's also you changing the school of the child, all depending within the legal boundaries of what it is that you need to do. The thing is, as we are speaking about single motherhood, stigma will always follow us as single mothers. So we need to figure out what kind of hacks. And I was really hoping to read from you ladies who are here today on Tuesday Talks at 3. What kind of hacks do you have you come across? Have you used yourself if you're a single mother? I can see that Nancy has shared. Thank you for engaging, Nancy. And let's just read what Nancy's contribution is. At every opportunity, you should vocalize milestones achieved by their children and directly relate it to the efforts of the single mom. I love that. Patsy, I'm going to repeat that. I really love this, that at every opportunity, we should vocalize milestones. achieved by their children and directly related to the efforts of the single mom. Yeah, because this is one way again that we can turn it into acceptance that because of that single mother, this child has turned out this way. Thank you so much, Nancy, for engaging. We would love to hear from you, Maua, Jacinta, Jane. We would love to hear from you, Aye Thaung. Share with us, what one thing do you think that we can do, as Nancy has shared, and you can see there in the live chat? Well, do we have any more tough choices, or would you like to talk to us more about the stigma?
Maybe the last choice that this is optional, but it is also a tough choice. You know, the choice of dating again.
Oh, yes, dating, yes, courtship. Oh, courtship. Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, because remember, when you found yourself in this situation, your mind was, you made up your mind that you're going to take care of your children. Remember, we have talked about, sometimes you even forget about self-care.
Yes, yes.
And there are times, a time will come, because remember, children leave sometimes. Yes. So you may have put it on hold for some time, and you find yourself getting old. Like for me now, I'm around.
Not old, getting older. You know, when you say getting old, it's as if you have killed the story, Patsy. Getting older. Yes, there's always somebody who's older than you. Yes.
Yes, and I will share with you something about my daughter. When she finished Form 4, that was in 2014, she told me, Mom, now you can get married because I am old enough.
Yes.
And I told her, if I want to get married, I will let you know. You don't have to tell me. When I get married, I mean, when I want to get married, I'll let you know. And I think it was her fear all along that maybe my mother is going to get somebody and bring this person to our life, and my life will change. So when she looked at herself, she was around 17 years old, and she just told me, Mom, when she came from school after she finished her school, she just told me, Mom, now you are free to get married. Are you seeing what it means? This child had some, reservations that my mother was going to get married. And here I am. I'm not yet married, but at least for me, I have pushed her to a level where now I know, even if I was to meet someone, I am free now. I'm saying I am free now. But for when you have small children, you can even find yourself meeting somebody you would wish to be in a relationship with. But when you look at your children, remember my child is a girl. Now she's old enough. She's about 25. Of course, children will always be children. But when you look at it, like I get somebody, we start living together, this person starts looking at my child like another woman, that really scares you. So the choice of dating again, sometimes it is very difficult for a single mother, and especially when you're not able to take care of yourself in terms of economic, maybe I should say economically or financially, it becomes a very tough choice, because here there's someone who is offering you a relationship which is coming with goodies of financial stability, but that choice of my child versus the financial stability.
Yeah, I can see how that can be a tough choice. Because again, you're putting your child first, and you're taking a back seat on yourself, but knowing that perhaps you have the hope that tomorrow you still have the chance for courtship. But I can imagine how that would be a tough choice. And thank you for sharing and being vulnerable, Patsy. I am just drawing on how your daughter at the Form 4 level was able to articulate this. And this is my life coach hat going on. And what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is that she was now at an age where she knew that she had the resources. You had given her the resources all these years, that now she was capable of taking care of herself. These are the thoughts that were going through her 18, 19, 20-year-old mind. The jury is out on that one, whether she was ready to take care of herself. But in her mind, she could actually perhaps perceive that, okay, now, even if mom was dating somebody, was being courted by somebody, I will be okay with my friends. I will be okay with my relatives, the unit that she had created for me. I will start my own life working or going now to college, whatever it is a discussion that she was having. So this is our children growing up. I always say that little child that you have, you need to look at fast forward. That child will leave. You did not bear a child, or you did not adopt a child, or you did not become that guardian of somebody to hold on to them forever. No. These are seasons of two people crossing paths, and what it is that you're imparting on these people, whether you are going to be there 24/7 for them, whether you are going to be doing it remote control, whatever it is, you are going to leave a mark on this human being. And this human being is then going to get their wings and fly. But when they fly, Patsy, you are left on your own. You need to be comfortable in that skin of yours. So I love when you're talking about your choice of self-care. I love when you're talking about the tough choice of courting. I love when you're talking about the decisions of having to decide this child comes first. These are tough choices. But there are very many hacks, as we can see, that we want to be able to embrace where we are. This is our journey. This is the meaning that we have. And today we're looking at the ups and downs of single motherhood. Well, let's move on to stigma. As we can see, time is not on our side, and we want to be able to have some takeaways. Tell us a little bit about the stigma, Patsy.
Thank you, Lucy. The stigma that comes with single motherhood is sometimes your child will be stigmatized out there, and especially in schools. Remember, when children go to school, they interact with other children. Yeah. And I'd rather even the stigma comes from another child, because children are innocent. You know, when they are telling each other that, oh, wewe huna baba, mimi niko, you know, it is from an innocent point of view. But
very true.
You will find even in schools, maybe even the people in that, for example, even the teachers, they may even make very mean remarks that the reason why this child is behaving like this is because he or she is from a single mother. And that is very insensitive. That is very, very insensitive. They always assume that children from single mothers will always have a problem. And that's not true. That is not true, Lucy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true what you're saying. It's just like what Nancy was sharing here. You know, we need to be able to break this myth, because why is this individual having this stigma, a perception of stigma? Because of what they have seen happening around us. And there's no story that is being told loud enough about the successes of children coming from single homes. I mean, even discrimination happens. And this is what also builds up on the stigma. And we need to be able to bust this myth or this stigma that comes along. And I'm using stigma, the word, so much. It's just that it disturbs me. You've got, in the government also, there are certain things where you're supposed to fill out your father and your mother's name. I mean, when you go to get things like a passport, when you go to get things like an ID, you're supposed to fill this out. And some of those fields are mandatory, where you have to put where does your father or your mother come from. Yeah, this is discrimination, because as a human being, you could be coming from a background where you don't know who your parents are, but then you need this ID. So what happens to that person who's carving out a future for themselves? Yes, there has to be management and legal boundaries, but there has to be a certain way that you do not feel stigmatized because you are coming perhaps from a single mother home. In churches also, you find that certain groups will not allow you into their, what do we call them, church groups, because you are a single mother. We are looking at you in a certain way. I don't know what that certain way would mean, but then we are looking at you and perceiving you in a certain behavioral aspect. And your child is there now, wondering why mom is not part of this group. In schools, the same thing. You've got schools that have decided that unless you've got both parents, that you cannot be part of that school. So are we going to start cheating the system and putting in our uncles and our grandfathers and whatever it is? There has to be a way in this modern world that we can feel all inclusive. And this is part of the stigma that I wanted to bring up. Single mothers are seen as irresponsible beings. And this is perhaps where the discrimination stems from. Patsy, we need to bust this myth. I beg your pardon, we need to bust this myth. Single mothers, as we have heard and we are talking right now, are success stories. And we need to talk about these success stories. Maybe you could share with us one more or two more stigmas, and then give us some takeaways that we can apply today. And for those of us who are on this session who are not single mothers, that we can go and share and give hope to single mothers. Maybe one or two more stigmas that you can share with us, Patsy.
Thank you, Lucy. The sad part of it, Lucy, most of this stigma will come from our relatives, people who are so close to us. And I'm talking from experience, and I'm not saying that it has affected me, but I'm a human being, right? So it will affect me at some point, but I learned to live with it. And you have talked about acceptance. You will find that in the African setup, they expect you to be married, right?
Yes.
You go back home in the rural area, they are going to ask you, where are you married? You know, you just find somebody asking you because they expect everybody to be married.
Yes.
So for me, I'm going to tell you how I handle it. And I normally put some humor in it. I ask them, where on earth have you ever had a woman being asked whether she has a homestead? It is only men who you will hear them being asked, boma yako ni gani? So, you know, I just play around with it. I tell them, even if I was to retire and I come back here and I just buy a piece of land at the shopping center and I live there, nobody will ever ask me. You know, I make it in such a way, it is humorous, because I know they have asked me where I'm married. So they expect me to say, oh, I'm sorry, I never got someone to. No, I don't pity myself. I just look at it and I tell them that, yes, nobody has, I mean, and no lady is ever asked, Bomayako Nigani.
I like that. You're throwing in the humor, making light of the situation, but you have a solution. So that's another hack. That's another hack. When we are faced with stigma as single mothers, of course we are human beings and we can lash out. Good to see you, Maria and Jerry. Good to see you. We missed you last week. So for us, we can find that if we find certain hacks that work, if they've worked for somebody, can we try them for ourselves? Because as single mothers, I'm sure there's a lot of this question that goes on, even in the time of death. When a single mother dies at the time of death, it's a whole plethora of questions and things how should be done. And even the worst thing, Patsy, is it comes from fellow women. It comes from fellow women. Instead of us adjusting crowns and lifting and raising our sisters, we find a way to bring you down and in our minds put you in your place because you are not in a perfect family scenario. What we would like to look at is that you are a mother. And we are celebrating motherhood. And I want to thank you for the hacks that you have given us today in running for this happiness. Maybe you could just tell us one or more things that we can do by way of happiness, and then we can close off with 3 particular takeaways. We have only 4 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have to look at the brighter side of it, and we have to look at ways of taking care of ourselves as single mothers. So one thing you need to do, avoid comparing yourself. Avoid comparing yourself to anyone. Always look at yourself as a special being. Look at the blessings that God has given you. You can do a list of the good things that you have in your life. And every time this comes back to you that you're asking yourself, why me? Always look at yourself and tell yourself, why not me? Because I have this. I have this. I have a job. I am blessed. I have children. You know, I'm in good health. Look at all the good things about life. And last but not least, Lucy, always be grateful for what you have.
Wow. Definitely. Gratitude is important. Just as she's saying that, and unfortunately, we have just lost her again. Gratitude is important for the things that we have. We need to say thank you. There are those who want exactly what it is that you have, yet you are not appreciative of what you have. Looking at a few takeaways that we need to be having today, just to look at so that we can encourage one another, is the inevitable decisions for single mothers can be very difficult. But what you want to do is choose yourself. The stigma that is associated with single motherhood can be very brutal. Let us throw some humor into it and manage our journey and give it meaning. And finding happiness alone is important. We need to take care of ourselves. This is key. Thank you so much to Patsy. I see she's back. Patsy, thank you so much for sharing your challenges, your personal story. Thank you for sharing your tips and your hacks on how to find elusive happiness. We give you thanks and we are grateful for you, single mothers. We don't take it for granted. Thank you very much, Patsy.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. Thank you for giving me.
Next week, we continue with our celebration of motherhood, and we will be talking about the world of motherhood in law. Isn't it interesting that last episode we touched on step motherhood? Today we have touched on single motherhood, and now there's motherhood in law. These are three areas of motherhood that come with stigma, that come already with something society has put a label on our foreheads, and we're going to bust some myths in our next episode. You do not want to miss this at all. I'd love for you to check out our social media platforms for details on that next episode. In the meantime, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for all these episodes and share your feedback with us on Instagram and Facebook right here and now. I can see Kavi had joined us and she says, thank you very much, Patsy. Thank you very much, Lucy. You're most welcome, Kavi. Good to have you back. I would love for you to visit our website. There are great things that we have there for you in different ways of consultancy and training. And when it comes to coaching, there's our contacts over there. My book, as I have said, is now available. Now we have it available locally, and you can be able to get it within Nairobi for starters, and we'll be looking at the different counties lately. Visit my Instagram page, which is at lucy.macridis, or visit my Facebook page, which is hashtag LMC Consultancy, hashtag Tuesday Talks at 3, or my website for your copy of your book. That book is retailing at 1,500. It's a story of 13 authors. The 13 authors who are helping you in personal development, who are showing you that you can use what you have here and now to reach your potential. So please get a copy for yourself. You can drop a message right here on the live chat and we can organize. The phone number is available on social media. Please make your own order today. Let us help build one another. And until our next episode, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.
Bye, Lucy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.